And Macedon's one of the most up-tempo teams in the country, but couldn't necessarily get to that pace here in this game as we take a look back at a game that John Conchar stepped up once again and provided as much as he could for the Macedons.
I think like a lot of broadcasters, for me, I grew up as a kid who was pretty sports obsessed, playing sports, following sports. At some point, maybe around middle school, I realized that my big growth spurt wasn't coming, so my plans of playing Division I college basketball and going on to the NBA didn't seem like they were going to pan out. I'm not exactly sure where the idea came to become a broadcaster. You know, somewhat influenced by my father, who has some public speaking experience. But yeah, the seed was planted that I had it in mind. I know I put in my 8th grade middle school yearbook that what I'd be doing in 10 years was being a sports broadcaster. So I didn't quite meet my goal of being the voice of the New Jersey Nets. They don't play in New Jersey anymore anyway, so I guess it wasn't possible. But I guess 10 years out of 8th grade, I did.
Benford fronts Guerrero, and Benford doesn't allow Samford to get it to Guerrero. Conchar up ahead for Weir. Good ball movement. Conchar, a wide open look. Timeout, Samford.
Excellent ball movement around.
So I grew up in central New Jersey. The high school that I went to did not offer a student radio station or even announcements on the school TVs or anything like that. I guess my first, or one of my first true experiences though in broadcasting was my senior year of high school. At that point, the technology was out there that you could pretty simply put together an audio streaming broadcast. So I was grateful to have the support of a couple teachers who helped to provide me with a laptop and Wi-Fi and USB microphone, and I did do play-by-play for my high school's basketball games as a senior. That was an experience that confirmed for me that I wanted to pursue broadcasting in college, so I went on to Syracuse University in New York, and I majored in broadcast journalism there. Never won a championship. That said, all those teams, whether it's on TV or radio, have broadcasters who are pretty nationally acclaimed. So the Nets, for example, have long had Ian Eagle broadcast their games on TV, and then he's someone who you also find calling games on CBS, NFL, college basketball, and more, and he's as good as anyone else, I would say. I also had the fortune of going to Syracuse, which has produced many sports broadcasters over the years, the likes of Bob Costas and Mike Tirico. And then the benefit, too, of personally getting to have met some of these men and women. In particular, I would say Jason Benetti, who's currently the TV broadcaster for the Chicago White Sox and also does college football and basketball and more for ESPN. While he's kind of rising up, and deservedly so because he's as good as anyone out there. When I was a student at school, he was calling games for the minor league baseball team in Syracuse. Then they were the AAA team for the Washington Nationals. And so I interned for him and had a chance to learn directly from him, and have been lucky enough that I've been able to continue to keep in touch with him and utilize him as a resource and a mentor. And then again, I mentioned earlier, Mike Cousins was someone who I followed out from Syracuse to Fort Wayne, and he's pretty big time at this point, working for ESPN, and definitely a benefit to be able to tap into someone like him for knowledge and guidance.
D. Montgomery driving the baseline, finds Marcus DeBerry for 3. No. Offensive board, Montgomery hit among the trees. The 6-foot junior puts it in.
For everyone behind the scenes on our Macedons broadcast crew, this is John Nolan saying thanks and so long from Fort Wayne.